On the outside, you look like you've got it all together. You're functioning, you're achieving, you're showing up, you're getting things done. But on the inside, you feel constantly on edge, like you can't fully relax, even when nothing's wrong. And here's the truth: high functioning anxiety often hides in plain sight, and it's more exhausting than people realise. Hi, I'm Cheryl. I'm the owner of Your Time to Shine Therapy, and I'm a therapist who works with people struggling with anxiety, burnout, and chronic internal stress. If you have ever looked calm on the outside but felt overwhelmed inside, constantly felt switched on or unable to relax, and achieved things but still felt tense or restless, then you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to explain what high functioning anxiety really is, why it feels so draining, and how therapy helps reduce the constant internal pressure. By the end, you'll understand why you appear fine on the outside, like a beautiful swan, but pedaling away like mad underneath, because you feel that everything isn't fine on the inside. And we'll talk about what actually helps to change that. High functioning anxiety doesn't always look like panic or, visible distress. In fact, many people experience it look all fine and dandy. They've got it all together. They look successful. They look like, they're organised. And they also look like they are reliable. People will be like, oh, go to them because they've got it all together. They also look like they're really high achieving. And that's not to say that they're not high achieving. But what happens is internally, it often feels like, that you are in a constant sense of urgency. Everything's got to be done. I've got to do it now. I've got to do it now. You start overthinking every single decision that you make. You find it really, really difficult to just switch off. And you feel like you're behind even when you're not. This is what I call anxiety that has learned to function through performance. So instead of it stopping you, it pushes you to keep you going. And you will keep going even when you feel completely exhausted. The nervous system in high functioning anxiety is often stuck in low self-stress state. And what this actually means is that your body is subtle and it is sort of tense most of the time, but you can't see it, and other people can't see it, but you can feel it. Your mind is always scanning for what needs to be done next. It can't just do one thing and then have a break. It's got to be constantly scanning for what needs to be done. And rest doesn't feel fully restful. Even when you're sitting still, your system is still saying, don't stop yet. Something still needs to be done. You haven't got time for a rest. You've got to be looking for the next thing. Over time, what this does, it creates chronic internal pressure that becomes your baseline. And this is how you work. So even success doesn't feel like a relief. It just resets the cycle and you start again. One of the biggest challenges that I see with high functioning anxiety, it's often missed. People don't realise that that's what they're in. Because from the outside, it all looks fine and dandy. It looks productive. It looks like you're in control. It looks like you've got all the capabilities in the world. But what happens is people assume if I'm coping, then I must be okay. I can't be coping and doing all these things and be anxious at the same time. but internally there's often emotional exhaustion, there's often irritability or burnout. You can have trouble relaxing, because you feel guilty. You feel disconnected from the rest of the people around you or your friends or whatever, and you don't have any downtime. And because it's not really disrupting in an obvious way, then it can go unaddressed for many, many years. And this happens with a lot of executives, CEOs, people like that who, have got it all together, but something's going on underneath. So in therapy, we don't just look at stress on the surface. We work with consistent internal activations underneath all of that. And this might include things like understanding the patterns driving overfunctioning, like perfectionism, responsibility, fear of slowing down. We look at things like identifying where the internal pressure is coming from. And we look at learning how to safely downregulate the nervous system. And we do creating space where rest doesn't feel like it's unsafe or uncomfortable. As this begins to shift, clients will often notice that they have less internal tension. They have the ability to relax without feeling guilty. And they have reduced overthinking and urgency. And they also start to feel more present and grounded in their body. They often say things like, I didn't realise how tense I was all the time until it started to heat, to ease off. Because they've sort of been in that position for such a long time, it becomes their norm. If this resonates, then ask yourself this today. Do I ever actually feel fully relaxed or just temporarily distracted? This question alone can reveal a lot about your internal state. If you want support reducing high functioning anxiety and chronic stress, I work with clients one-to-one to calm the nervous system, to reduce internal pressure and overthinking, to break perfectionism and overfunctioning patterns, and build real rest and emotional balance. Subscribe for more videos on anxiety, burnout, and mental health strategies that actually work. And in the comments, let me know, do you ever feel calm on the outside but tense on the inside? And what does that feel like for you? I do read every single comment, and I will give you tips on how to ease this pressure and make yourself feel a bit better. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I shall see you all again soon. Bye for now.